All right, welcome you guys to episode. You know what? I don't even know at this point. We did so many.
This is episode number 5.
All right.
It's gonna be extra parts to it, so this is episode 5, part 1.
Okay, episode 5, part 1. On to your next money making boyfriend. How did you meet this guy?
Okay, excuse me. This guy right here, I actually met him in the 7th grade at Olympia Middle School. And that was my little boyfriend back then, little puppy love boyfriend. And then as the years had passed, I hadn't seen him since I was 12 or 13. And then this was years later. I had to be around 2021, 22, something like that. I saw him at a gas station on Ghana's Ferry Road, and from there, we rekindled.
Okay, so as you guys were rekindling, what were some of the things that you would do?
Well, we actually had a lot of fun together. He was a money-making guy, but I never knew anything about what he did. I just knew that he, was a money-making guy. That's all. He kept that away from me, in which I respected him for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you stated in the last video that he got you fired from the bank. So how did that happen?
Okay. I tell you, the guys that I chose, y'all. Okay, what happened was, and remember I told y'all I was a BMW lady. He was the third guy that had a BMW. So what happened was, he told me to write a check to the dealership, and the dealership would hold the check. They would not cash the check because they were supposed to go back and pick up the check the next day. So what happened was, I wrote the check, and I think the check was probably for about I want to say, was it $5,000? I don't even know what the amount was. I know it was some thousands on the end. I don't remember if it was 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't remember, but I wrote the check in good faith, thinking that, when he gave it to the car dealer at the time, that they would hold the check, and then my boyfriend was supposed to, and his dad was supposed to come back with the cash and get the check. But instead, they didn't show up, and they actually let the check go through. The dealership sent it on to my bank, and I didn't have that money in my account like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the check bounced.
So how did your job find out? Like, was it a policy that your account couldn't go into the negative, or you couldn't have any bounce checks? Like, how did that correlate to your job?
Yeah, I couldn't explain that. Like, that was like a fraudulent thing right there. That was just the amount of money, because in the state of South Carolina, on a certain level of amounts of money that you write a check for, that's really bad. So with the job, like I said, it was in the thousands. It wasn't like a $20 check or a $50 check. This was in the thousands. And, it really, to me, it hurt me really dearly, because I had been on that job for 3 years. And for him to not have, did his obligation of picking up the check, it really, I don't know. I just can't explain it. At the time, I was in love with him. So after I was terminated, I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll find another job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leading up to the termination, were you called into the office? Did they explain to you what happened? How did that go?
I can laugh now, but that wasn't funny back then. Yeah, my manager at the time, her manager actually called me in, and they wanted to know why that check bounced. And I tried to explain to them that same story I'm telling y'all about my boyfriend with the check. They were supposed to come pick it up and give the dealership the cash, but they didn't. But they nothing they could do. It was out of their hands. So they was politely, and they walked me out, which at that time, this was back in 1989, they actually, anytime you was terminated, they would walk you out, because we had time sheets, and it was just so embarrassing at the time. It really was. But I was on that job for 3 years.
Oh man, that's just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Did your boyfriend ever keep the car? Like, did he get the car?
Yeah, they got the car. I actually told him about what had happened, and he was like, he's sorry that that happened to me, and his dad and his family, they was like that girl lost her job, behind that, and I guess it really didn't dawn on me like it does now of the situation, like how it went down. This was stupid of me to have done that from the beginning. When I look back. So young girls, if y'all are out there, don't let no guys tell y'all anything. You got your own mind to say no.
Okay, and looking back, do you feel like he was plotting on you the whole time?
He actually was a liar and a cheater. And I'm saying that because I've got receipts on everything that I talk about. Back then, I couldn't see it. My eyes were not open, but it was so many things and red flags about him. But like I said, the lifestyle and, the fun times we had together, because we had fun times. I just ignored all the red flags because I was having fun. And, no kids, single, doing my thing, and a job was just, I could find another job. That back then, a job was just a job. I could get another job just like that. I never went without a job.
Did you have to explain to any of your family members the reason why you lost your job?
Well, you know what, I actually led it to believe that I still worked at the bank because I was embarrassed about it until I found another job. So what I would do is I would actually make like I was going to work, but I didn't really go to work. My mother, I still let, they thought I was still working at the bank. But like I said, it didn't last long. I actually got on with another job. I actually worked at the State House for a little while. And then from there, I really didn't like that because it was dealing with a lot of other stuff like tourism and the State House. I didn't like, it was boring, pretty like that. It was boring. So from there, I went on to the radio station. I actually worked at a radio station. I think it was a WVOC. It was a talk radio. I did that for a little while. Like I said, a job, I always kept a job. I worked since the age of 12. I've always been independent. And that's another thing I want to tell the young ladies. Always have your own. Don't ever depend on a man. Even though I was with all these money-making guys, all of them, I still kept a job and had my own. What they did for me is what they did for me, but I always kept my own job.
Right. That's very good advice.
Yes. And yes.
Whatever they did for you, that